Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and welcome once again to Proudly Motherland, Mr. J's reaction. And today I want us to talk about something real different, and I'm not going to delay. I just want us to get into it right away. So, isn't it true that most colonized people, they tend to take certain things, certain cultures of their colonial masters? Isn't it true that most oppressed people, they tend to actually copy and paste some of the lifestyles of their colonial master? Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still wondering what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to talk about the situation of most colonized African countries having certain lifestyles, certain principles, certain laws that mirror that of their colonial masters. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to talk about the French-speaking African countries. Especially, I'm going to talk about Cameroon because I'm from Cameroon. And when I mentioned earlier that isn't it true that most colonized people tend to copy some of the lifestyle and some of the laws and the norms of their colonial masters? In my country, in my birth country, Cameroon, there are certain tax laws that were actually created in France. And I know that if you look at Africa, there are so many African countries who had colonial masters, and they still have certain laws that actually came from their colonial masters. And after independence, nobody thought about changing these laws. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to talk about one particular country today in Africa that is making a whole lot of changes. And I want us to talk about the Republic of Burkina Faso. Yes, you guys know that it's been a couple of years now that we've had a strong man in the Republic of Burkina Faso. And this great leader, man, this Pan-Africanist man, this visionary, this rebirth of Thomas Sankara is actually making a whole lot of changes in that country, which so many people don't like him. But for those who can actually see where this man is heading and taking the country to, we love him. And one of those changes that he made recently is that of doing away with the nonsense of lawyers, man. As a kid, I've always asked myself, why is it that in Africa somebody becomes a lawyer, somebody decides to study law, and then when they go to practice that law, they have to put on a white wig? I've always asked myself, and I've always felt like it really didn't feel like African to us. And then when I saw this news, I was like, man, at least some African leaders are starting to realize that we are not supposed to do everything like our colonial masters. Now, if you ask me, I don't really know exactly why some of our countries in Africa, some countries around the world, let me just put it that way, because most lawyers, if you go around the world, most lawyers, they put on the wig. Now, in America, I've not really seen a whole lot of these things happening, but I would say this: if you go to Africa, if you go to, let's say, countries like Ghana, Nigeria, you go to Senegal, you go to, matter of fact, all English-speaking countries in Africa that I've been through, their lawyers actually put on this wig. Now, I don't know if that wig is supposed to give them some kind of extra nudge or make them feel like extra important, but I am glad that this leader is actually taking a step, and he is actually stopping some of these Western European nonsense that his people had copied, the past leaders of Burkina Faso had let go on in his country. Let's come back now to His Excellency Ibrahim Traore. This great man, from the moment he came in as the leader of that country, if you look at the history, this guy has been moving meticulously, trying to dismantle all of the shackles, especially from European colonial master. And when we talk about Burkina Faso, we are definitely talking about France. It is no secret, and it is no tale that if you go around Africa, some of the French-speaking countries in Africa, some of their laws were created by France, and some of their policies, if you really look detailed, like the nitty-gritties, some of those things come from France. Now I want to ask my fellow Africans this question, especially the French-speaking Africans. How do you feel, or how do you call yourself independent when actually you are working with laws, you are working with policies that were created by your colonial master? How does it feel? Because I've never really fully understood. Think about it this way. You live in the neighborhood, you have your own house, right? And your neighbor has their own house. But you know what? Your neighbor is telling you what to eat every day. Your neighbor is deciding what you can do in your house. Even if your neighbor doesn't come to your house every day, he sits in his house and you are in your house and you go, oh, I will go by what the neighbor told me to do. Now that is absurd. And there is this great singer. He goes by the name Bob Marley. There is a song, a redemption song, and there's a line that he said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Captain Ibrahim Traore, President Ibrahim Traore, is actually doing that. He realized that nobody's going to save the people in Burkina Faso but the people in Burkina Faso. Nobody is going to come in and say, let me fix your country for you. Talk less of France. Talk less of a Western country. No Western country is going to go to Africa and say, let me help you make your country and your policies exactly like our own policies, because there is an agenda to keep Africa underdeveloped. You feel me? So he realized that, and he started gradually dismantling, which is why there have been several attempts to assassinate and to eliminate this guy. See, if you look at the history of Africa, man, any good leader who ever came into power and tried to change things for the benefit or for the good of his people, they always took him down. But you see, this time around, this young leader, this Pan-Africanist, has surrounded himself with people that are helping him, which is why he's still in power today. And that is not to say that France is just going to fold their arms, or the Western powers are just going to fold their arms and not trying to do something to change that guy. But see, I'm happy that he actually decided to stop this nonsense of wigs by lawyers in Burkina Faso. I do pray that every French-speaking African countries can start standing up and canceling some of the laws and the policies that were created by France. That is my take. I want you to leave a comment and let me know exactly what you think. Do you think that this man is doing something good for his people? And do you think that it is necessary for us as Africans to start creating our own policies rather than relying on policies and things, lifestyles that came from our colonial masters? That is my time. You stay blessed, man. Keep watching. Mr. J is around. Peace.